Mario Tennis Fever just sold 39,000 copies in its first week in Japan, but its predecessor Mario Tennis Aces sold over 120,000. They have the same review scores in the high 70s, but Fever costs $70, reuses animations from Aces, and it also launched with higher expectations on Nintendo's latest hardware, the Switch 2. And this is not just one game. When you line up the recent Switch 2 releases, a very clear pattern starts to emerge. So today we're going to break down the sales, the reviews, and what that pattern says about Nintendo's lineup right now, because something about the Switch 2 era isn't matching expectations. All right, folks, let's jump right in here. Famitsu just released their sales data from Japan last week, which was the launch week for Mario Tennis Fever, and what we'll see here is that Mario Tennis Fever came in at second place with 39,500 sales. Now this is physical retail sale copies, this is not digital, but when you take a look at the first week sales for Mario Tennis Aces, a really interesting trend starts to appear. Okay, we see 123,000 units were sold in Aces first week, and these are once again physical sales for the Switch 1. And while that is just the Japanese sales data, if we take a look over on Amazon, you can see that Mario Tennis Fever, the physical release, has only sold about 5,000 in the last month, and when we pop over to Target, you'll see that only about 1,000 were purchased at Target in the last month as well. Now Walmart doesn't share that data, but if you're familiar with Walmart's earnings report that came out today, you'll know that Amazon actually, I think, overtook Walmart in some key metrics. So let's assume that Walmart also sold about 5,000. I think that's pretty generous. Once we line that up, we realize that there's actually not that many other retailers that we could even be tracking in the United States outside of GameStop and Best Buy, right? So if we have 5,000 from Amazon, and let's just say it's 5,000 from Walmart as well, 1,000 from Target, so that's 11,000. Let's just be generous and triple that number to factor in GameStop and Best Buy. And even if you quadruple it and we land at 44,000 units, it's entirely possible that Mario Tennis Aces sold more in its first week in Japan than Mario Tennis Fever sold globally in its first week on the market with the Switch 2. Tiger came to say hi again. Every time I film these videos now, she jumps up here because she thinks she's gonna get snacks, and I don't know, she's been waking me up this week, so I'm not sure if she I don't know if she deserves any snacks. You guys can let me know in the comment section below. Now here's the tweet that kind of tipped me off to this interesting comparison. Stealth over on Twitter concludes that it appears in Japan there really wasn't a lot of interest in a new Mario Tennis game. Now if you guys are subscribed to the channel and you've watched my videos, you'll know that Japan is the market that the Switch 2 is dominating in. It is doing better in Japan than any other market pretty much in the entire world right now. And so if there were to be a single market where a game like Mario Tennis could or should perform really well, it is Japan. Now some of the people that are kind of commenting on this very obvious sales slump, right? I mean, this is a 68% drop in first week sales from one tennis game to another. This user points to the fact that digital sales trends have changed in 2025 and going into 2026. So according to this screenshot, which they don't list the source of, but they say that roughly 63% of all software sales are digital. Okay, so we know that there's more digital sales now than there were back in 2018, especially on Nintendo hardware. So let's assume that digital sales are up from 50% to 63%. All right, so let's just do a little bit of math. All right, so we have 39,522, and we can divide that by 0.37 and we get 106,000. But the problem with that logic is when you do the same math with Mario Tennis Aces, you'll see that, yeah, the sales for Aces were still insanely high, even if you consider that a larger portion of its pie was physical sales. So this user is trying to pretend like this is a narrative, when in reality the data is the data. Even using their own rules, Mario Tennis Fever sold significantly less than Mario Tennis Aces, no matter how you cut it. So then we have to ask ourselves, well, why would Mario Tennis Fever be performing significantly worse in its first week than its predecessor? And I think if we take a look at the reviews, we might be able to learn something interesting, but it doesn't really paint the whole picture, because as you see here, we've got a generally favorable 77 for Mario Tennis Fever. So not a bad game, but not really anything to write home about. This is like slightly above average. It's decent, not great. You know, generally favorable is like, I don't know about you, but I don't get excited about generally favorable favorable. It's just like kind of, okay, yeah, like the people that would like it are gonna like it and everyone else is just not gonna care. That's kind of what generally favorable means in my mind. And then you can see that the user score is mixed or average, right? So we have a 7.4, and when we compare that to Tennis Aces, you'll see pretty much the same, right? Tennis Aces is actually slightly lower in terms of review score and lower in terms of user score as well. So okay, well, Tennis Fever is, I guess, on average a bit better of a game according to the reviews than Aces. So okay, well, you would expect the better game to sell better, and that clearly didn't happen in the first week. So then you might think like, okay, well, maybe there were just more Switch units out in the hands of players in Japan back in 2018, and the truth is that there were about 5 million Switch units in the hands of Japanese players by the time that Mario Tennis Aces landed on the market. But the Switch 2 has sold 4 million units in Japan already, so it's definitely fewer, but it's not dramatically less to the point where you would look at these numbers and say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Clearly something is wrong here. So if it's not the reviews and it's not the fact that there's significantly less Switch 2s on the market compared to Switch 1, what could it actually be? Well, there's one glaringly obvious thing, and that is the price of the game. So we have Mario Tennis Fever sitting at $70 and Mario Tennis Aces released at $60. So right out of the gate, you're asking the same customers for more money for a game that is arguably a very similar experience. I mean, the satisfaction of Mario Tennis Fever players is clearly not significantly higher than the satisfaction level of Mario Tennis Aces players, and yet you're asking a higher price. And on top of that, YouTuber Master of Hyrule posted a video just a couple of days ago showing off that the animations for Mario Tennis Fever and Aces are pretty much the same. In fact, you'll notice that this 5-minute video is literally just a compilation of copy and pasted animations from Mario Tennis Aces into Mario Tennis Fever. So again, we look at these games and we say, okay, well, they're reviewing about the same, and clearly they have reused assets here, which is, I mean, that's common, right? You see reused assets in lots of games. I mean, obviously every single one of these animations is copy and pasted, but like, okay, I digress. Like the animations aren't the point. That's not the reason that you buy the game. I understand that, right? But clearly this is at least one corner that was cut. Can we at least just agree on that, right? Okay, they clearly cut this corner for a game that is on next generation hardware, and on top of that, you're asking $70, right? So it becomes really hard to justify a $70 price tag when it's almost impossible to tell the difference between these two games from an average onlooker. And again, when they're reviewing about the same, and you consider that a lot of people, well, maybe they already have Mario Tennis Aces, so like why would they spend more money on what looks like a very similar game? At the end of the day, they're both tennis games. So if you want to play a Mario Tennis game on your Switch 2, you probably already have one in the form of Mario Tennis Aces, right? So again, from a consumer perspective, when these days consumers are very price sensitive, it becomes very hard to charge them more money for what looks like a very, very similar game. And I know that gameplay wise they are different, right? These are different games fundamentally, but also they're definitely both Mario Tennis games, right? I mean, like, what are we talking about? And then when you pair that with the fact that online ranked play doesn't let you actually team up with your friends, you have to play randomly with other players. I mean, that just doesn't seem to make sense at all. Like, why even have a ranked playlist if you can't actually pick your teammates, you know? But here's the critical piece of information. Mario Tennis Fever is really just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, it's kind of just the latest in a string of game releases for the Switch 2 that are all following pretty much the same trend. If we look back at Pokemon Legends ZA, you'll see that this is generally favorable with unfavorable user score. We see Kirby Air Riders, we have a generally unfavorable metascore with generally favorable user score. We've got Metroid Prime 4 with a generally favorable metascore and a generally favorable user score. We have Hyrule Warriors with a generally favorable metascore, and I think you can see the trend here, right? All of the most recent games that have come out for the Switch 2 are all just generally favorable. They're just like fine, right? Like they're okay. Like these are solid games. That these are games, you know, if you wanted this specific niche of game, then I don't think you're going to be super disappointed. But the masses are not flocking to the Switch 2 for any one of these particular titles, because none of these are home runs. And I think that is the trend that we're seeing with Nintendo and the Switch 2 lately. It's that we haven't seen a home run for the Switch 2 since Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that was in July. And before that, obviously we just had Mario Kart World. And so a lot of people that, you know, even people that have a Switch 2 are kind of looking at it collecting dust, and they're like, man, you know, we've got a bunch of just average, maybe slightly above average games, and they're just not the reason that you buy or pick up your system again, right? And the worst part is that all of these games are the same price point. We have a $70 Legends EA with $30 DLC, by the way, which is announced before the game even came out. We've got a $70 Kirby Air Riders, a $70 Metroid Prime, and a $70 Hyrule Warriors, right? So we're seeing Nintendo ask more money of all of these titles, and none of them are really delivering more value. And I think that's what a lot of customers and gamers are hung up on. They're looking at the value proposition. They're seeing the price of the console raise, and they're seeing the price of the games raise, and they're like, well, where's the increase in quality? Where's the increase in value for the consumer? And I think that's why we're seeing, you know, we actually did see Nintendo's latest financial report showed that the attachment rate for games is actually quite bad, especially when you factor in that they came with Mario Kart World. The average Switch 2 owner has about 2.5 games. And so the software sales for the Switch 2 are kind of getting crushed under the weight of their price tag and their inability to deliver the value that that price tag demands. And that's not my opinion. That's literally what customers are saying by not opening up their wallet for games like Mario Tennis Fever. That's just the reality right now, whether we want to admit it or not. So when you take all of that into account, it's no wonder why every week we're seeing new rumors or leaks of a general Nintendo Direct. And by the way, I'm recording this midday on Thursday, and it looks like that leak for this week was not true. And I'm sure that just because that happened doesn't mean the hopium isn't going to continue. We know that everyone's just gonna push the goalpost to March and say, okay, surely in March we're going to be getting a general Nintendo Direct, right? We saw a few days ago Nintendo Switch 2 rumor leaks reveal of new 3D Mario game. This was the talk of the town last week, and I didn't comment on it because I frankly didn't think that this was real. But of course you see the rumor mill churn up and pump out videos talking about how this is it, we're finally getting a 3D Mario. And so then when you look at the reviews for all of the Switch 2 games lately, it's like, okay, well, I don't even really blame Nintendo fans for buying into these rumors, because they're literally starving. They don't have any great games for their Switch 2, at least nothing new, right? You could point to all the third-party games and say, oh, well, you can finally play Final Fantasy Portable, and it's like, okay, fine, like, sure, right? But that's not a reason to buy the Switch 2, you know, and that's not a reason that anyone bought the Switch 2, really, at least not the majority of people. Everyone knows Nintendo is a first-party platform, okay? That's why people buy Nintendo consoles, and that's been the case since the GameCube or earlier. So Mario Tennis Fever is going to come and go as yet another forgettable Switch 2 title that landed on the scene, and next week we're going to be back to speculating about when the next General Direct is going to be and when we're going to see another 3D Mario, except I guess the talk of the town is going to be Pokemon Day, right? We actually made a video recently on the channel talking about how there were rumors that Fire Red and Leaf Green would be coming to the Switch or Switch 2 online, but you'll have to buy it separately. If you guys missed that video on the channel, check it out. I feel like I was very fair in that video, and I went over all the pros and the cons and the reasons people are happy and unhappy about that. But even me being nuanced gets people upset these days, so I don't even know what people want anymore. Like, I'm trying to be very fair with you guys, showing both the good and the bad, but I mean, I still get punished for it. So I don't know. Pokemon fans are just something else. I don't even pretend to really understand them anymore, even though I myself am historically a massive Pokemon fan and I want what's best for the franchise. But I'm digressing at this point. We're going to keep seeing rumors for a new Nintendo Direct as long as we don't have dates for a lot of the upcoming titles, right? Really what Nintendo fans want is a game to point to and say, there it is. We finally have a reason to own a Switch 2. We finally have a reason to tell people why we bought a Switch 2, right? And right now, the closest thing to that is Generation 10 of Pokemon, which technically we don't even know when that's coming, but of course leaks and rumors are saying end of this year, which we'll probably know by on Pokemon Day when that's actually going to happen. But what else do we have lined up? We have Yoshi, right? The new Yoshi game, which I think is going to probably perform about as good as Mario Tennis, maybe a little bit better, right? I don't know, probably better than Mario Tennis, surely, right? A new Yoshi game surely will perform better than that. But then we've got Splatoon, we don't know when that's coming out. We have Duskbloods, don't know when that's coming out. So like a lot of Nintendo fans are just antsy, right? They want a new General Direct, and I don't blame them, because like what are they going to get to play this year? Like all the games that we know are coming down the pipeline are all the ones that we've known about for months at this point. Nothing really new and exciting has been revealed, and again, Pokemon Day will probably change that, but even still, we already know Pokemon is probably coming at the end of the year, so that's like not even anything new either. And so it's times like this where I kind of wish that I was a like overly positive Nintendo influencer who just everything that Nintendo does is good and every video I make is just praising Nintendo, right? Because if that were me, my job would be really easy. Every 2 weeks I could make a video saying, oh my god, new leaks, oh new rumors, oh new Nintendo Direct, dude, oh it's so good, bro. And then I can just lie and just make stuff up. Like I could actually just literally make things up all the time and just get tens of thousands of views every single week or every other week and just farm the Nintendo community because they're just hoping and praying that a new thing is coming and never face any consequences for being wrong, right? Like that's the other thing, is that like we've seen this time and time again now, where it's like we're constantly seeing new rumors and leaks of Nintendo Directs, and most of them are wrong, right? Like some of them are right, don't get me wrong, some of the leaks are true, some of them are definitely, they happen and it's like, wow, that was exciting, right? But a lot of times they're wrong, and then they're just, oh well, it was just a rumor. I said it was just a rumor, you guys. It's like, okay, well, so these content creators can make videos about leaks and rumors, and then when I make a 40-minute video talking about data and spreadsheets and everything, and they're like, well, I think he's lying because that conclusion that he arrived at is not the one that I want to hear. So plus, you know, fastest selling console of all time, right? We're just gonna recycle that since August and pretend like that just means everything is fine in every aspect of the business. We could ignore even analysts saying that the latest financial report wasn't stellar from Nintendo, which by the way, Nintendo's stock price is still taking an absolute beating. It is down 17% this month, whether you look at the stock available for American markets or you look at, you know, Nintendo in yen. Okay, over the last month it's down 18.5%. like it's taken an absolute beating, right? So we can say fastest selling console ever, and it's like, okay, well, clearly if that's all that mattered, investors would be stoked right now. Investors would be super excited. But the truth is that the video game business is super complex, and you can't just point to fastest selling console and say everything's good when, like, okay, but well, why aren't people buying the games then, right? Like what's happening here? What is this? But it's okay, guys. Surely a new 3D Mario, bro, it's totally, I swear to you guys, it's definitely possibly coming, according to a rumor that I heard from an undisclosed source. It's definitely coming, and you're gonna have to keep coming back to my channel to find out when it is, you know. And matter of fact, I will tell you if you like the video. I'll tell you, and it's gonna be so soon. It's definitely, possibly soon. It might be soon, maybe it might be soon, so just stay tuned for that. And then finally, when that comes out, well, then we're good, then we're Gucci, right? And yeah, anyway guys, if you made it to the end of the video, consider dropping a thumbs up on it. It really does help out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm, and you might think you're subscribed because you've seen a ton of my videos, but you're actually not. Double check down below.